Let me tell you about a place that has it all for your home, bedroom, kitchen, lawn, and more. It's a home-owned and home-operated business that's been around for over 70 years, so you know they're doing something right. At Swap and Shop Center in Lawrenceburg, you'll find top name brands for every room of your house and top brands for the outside too. Looking for appliances, televisions, couches, safes, bedding, mowers, and well, the list goes on. So make the drive today to 824 North Military Avenue in Lawrenceburg and be treated right.
We're joined here by Summertown and new head football coach Jason Busby here on Inside the Locker Room, brought to you by Swap and Shop Center of Lawrenceburg. First of all, Jason, congratulations for getting the job here. What's the last 48 to 36 hours been like for you as becoming the new head football coach?
It's been great. I'll be honest with you, it's actually kind of been humbling. The day they announced it, I forgot my phone up in the classroom, and I got a little busy down here, of course, afterwards, kind of clean everything up. Yeah. But when I went back up to my phone, I want to say I had like 86 missed text messages and like 20-something calls. So I'm still receiving calls from old teammates and coaches that I know, even from out of state. So it's just been kind of a great, humbling experience, and kind of seeing all the support that you're getting from everywhere.
What's the reaction from the players been like?
They did well. I was kind of, again, humbled when Coach Burleson announced it to our football team. It was right over here, and they let out a loud approval. So when as soon as they did that, I think both Coach Burleson and everybody, and we all kind of was like, good. We feel like we made the right decision.
Right. So you've been here for a while as an assistant coach. Obviously, you know these players really well, and you've basically been here from the start of the program to this point now. So you're a kind of a staple here in Summertown.
Well, yeah, I've been here for every varsity head coach in Summertown history. I came here my first year. I was under Coach Moat, of course, Coach Rice, Coach Cruz, and then Coach Rice, and then Coach Winfrey. So. It's actually almost a blessing to be in this situation, because you got to see multiple coaches in the same program do things differently. Some things worked well, some things didn't work as well as we wanted to. But you were able to step back and say, all right, that's pretty good. This may not work as well with our top kids. So you're able to kind of get a lot of information that a lot of head coaches that would be in my situation, taking a new head job, doesn't have, because they're just trying to figure that out. So, for them, it may be a couple of months before they figured out that process. Where we already got some data, like, all right, we've tried this, we've tried this, we've tried this. Let's try to morph the things that worked well, and kind of see if we can improve on some of the things that we thought were good that didn't quite work out as well. But can we kind of morph that a little bit to where it may work in a better situation.
Yeah, and you've been here on the ground floor at the start of the program, and it must be fun for you to kind of see where this has taken off, and to where you've got this brand new stadium. We're in this brand new weight training facility. All of this stuff. It's got to be pretty special for you.
Absolutely, and I'm the world's worst at taking like before and after photos, but just kind of, like you said, look back on it, where our first stadium of course was graciously donated by the Schaefer family, and we was able to play there, and of course that's where our youth league continues to play. But we didn't have restrooms, and we there was a lot of accommodations that a lot of programs across the nation they didn't even think about. They thought that was just the norm it was supposed to be, and then of course this year we got this wonderful facility, wonderful stadium, like you said, new weight room, new locker room, coaches areas, training areas. So it's almost like we've made that jump. So now that we've taken that next step, hopefully we can take that momentum, take that shiny new stone. Get some interest in the program. People want to kind of come out and kind of see what it's all about, and hopefully we can kind of take that momentum, continue to move forward in a positive direction.
Yeah, you're a county native. Over from Loretta. I know you don't say that out loud around these parts, but you're from there, but you know what football's like in this county and what football means to this county.
Absolutely, and here's the thing, and of course y'all do a fantastic job of sponsoring all of our sports and showcasing them all. So y'all are one that is aware that our county has a great mixture of high school athletes. From the south end of the county to the middle of the county to the north end of the county. Here at Summertown, it's known that, for whatever sport we're going to play, we're going to be competitive, and that's the goal. It don't matter. Of course, I have daughters that play golf, and, they've won state championships there. They went state tournament this year. Basketball is kind of the same way. Of course, baseball, softball, it's everything here has an expectation. And that's kind of what we're talking to our kids about, trying to get to that elite program level. Of course, I actually coached the Loretta football coach, Bryce Glass. So, me and him talk daily. So, the rivalry is always there because everybody, if you're in this position, you've been in that competitive. So it doesn't matter if I'm playing my parents, to be honest with you. And if they're when they watch this, they'll shake their head. He'll beat us just as easy as he'll beat anybody. But but that support is there too. Like I said, me and Coach Glass, we talk daily. Me and Garrett, we talk, so we're all on good terms. So that's one good thing is everybody in the county wants to be competitive, but it's not like we're going to try to, do something to harm the other programs. We actually want to support them, except for one game a year, So that's actually good. Like I said, both coaches from both schools have reached out, been great helping out whenever I needed help, and I try to do the same for them.
Yeah, and obviously you've been a head coach before over at Loretta. What kind of things did you learn from your first chance of being a head coach that you want to kind of now bring over into this opportunity? When
I first got to Loretta, I thought, hey, this scheme was great. I came from Lewis County, and we're going to do this, and it's going to be just like, this is how we win. And I found out, there's a lot of factors that come in winning and losing, and some things are not in your hand. Some things the ball just don't bounce right, and some days the ball bounces right for you. That's a small factor. And of course, when I was young, coming, first head coaching job, I was like, man, I can do this. I can control everything. And then, of course, the more years you coach, you figure out, coaching-wise, you have a lot less control than what you actually think. I think coaches get way too much credit sometimes with wins. I think, like I said, our job is to try to make every kid one deviation better. Make that good kid to a great kid, and try to make that great kid to an elite kid. But the real coaching comes when you take those guys that are kind of right there at that below average level, and try to make them better, make them into good players. And I said, that's where we're at. And of course, I think that's one of those things I learned really the hard way at Loretta as a young coach.
Now with this, you're kind of entrenched in this town now. Your daughter plays here. She's in basketball. She's at golf. Your wife and your whole family has been here. So even though you're from Loretta and your wife's from Lawrenceburg, but you guys combined came over here, and now you're a part of Summertown and a big part of Summertown.
Absolutely. I got two daughters. Got one a senior, Ella. One a freshman, Hallie. Both of those are multiple sport athletes. Like I said, you was talking about Ella and Hallie both play golf, made it to the state tournament, play basketball. Ella's doing well. Hallie actually has came in and came in well. I gave her a fist pump the other night after the Lawrence County game. We was fortunate to squeak a win out by I think 2 points, and Hallie came in right before the end of the quarter and made 2 free throws. I said, game-winning free throws, baby. You never know when they come.
That's right.
And so she was good on that. And of course, they both play tennis, which again, another big competitive sport. So live 90 seconds away from the school, which is great. If anything happens over here or somebody forgets something, it's not as big of a deal. They call and say, hey, coach, I left my Chromebook here in the locker room. Do you mind coming by? Absolutely. It's not a burden to drive 90 seconds and help somebody out. out. So, and also I can kind of keep a good eye on everything.
There you go.
So that all helps as well.
Yeah. You have done some head coaching things over here before. I remember you being at a basketball tournament and you were literally scheduling teams in the stands and you were telling me who you were scheduling. So kind of, I know assistant coaches and coaches got different roles at every different program, but you've kind of done some of the head coaching things here before.
And of course, during that little cycle with Coach Rice, he had to leave due to insurance issues, and then when I took over, of course, I did that. And during that transition was actually a rescheduling year, and I want to say it was at our Thanksgiving tournament.
Cornersville.
At Cornersville, and I ain't kidding. I remember I was so worried because the service over there sometimes is not great on my phone, and as soon as the scheduling comes out, I told them, I said, guys, I said, it's like the stock market exchange. When our schedules come out, you're on the phone with like 3 different coaches trying to get this week, are we home, figure out, making sure you're trying to get that 5 and 5 home and away. And that's kind of one of those. But also, just dealing with the community, making sure you're bringing up support. When Coach Cruz was here, me and him kind of worked together. We got a program up called Meet the Eagles that's actually came into a pretty big event now. We got some parents that have kind of really took that under their wing and has made that thing special. Courtney Dillard, I can't thank her enough of what she does with our Meet the Eagles program. But it was also kind of something that, kind of builds on that. But yeah, I was actually an interim head coach at Spring Hill for a transition, and of course it was a rescheduling year. And we were actually in there with CPA and all of them, so that was always interesting. So the head coaching aspect of it. I think that's a big jump where a lot of guys and that's why I try to talk, Coach Glass into, hey, make sure you're biding time to go see some people that you need to see. Make sure you're talking. I said, a lot of times as a head coach, you're putting out fires behind the scenes that nobody sees before they get to where they can be seen. And I said, a lot of times you're doing just as much as that as you are anything on the whiteboards. So that's definitely helped me out to where kind of moving forward, it's not going to be as much of a shock.
And finally, Jason, big question I always like to ask new coaches. And I've heard this from guys at the NFL, down the high school, down the middle school. The first 30 days are the most important of your tenure. What's your goal here in the first 30 days?
I think one is to transition that to where our kids are excited. I think we kind of gotten a little bit of a slump where, we wasn't coming down here with the same kind of energy. I'll be honest with you, within the first week that we've done this week, our kids are bouncing around, they're coming around, they're giving each other high fives, just kind of looks like they're enjoying the game. That's kind of wanting to make sure that our kids kind of know, being in the program for as long as we've kind of talked about, it kind of makes that easier transition to where the kids know how I care about them, which is always a big thing, because that's usually those first 30 days. You're not going to change the perception, the way people feel about you in 30 days, but we were able to kind of build on that to where now it's guys like, hey, we're going to kind of continue to build on this. But definitely our weight program, we kind of changed it up a little bit. Kids, like I said, seem like they're enjoying it. Already got spring games, got summer games, got JV games, so we are full. We might can get one more summer scrimmage in, but it was always kind of good. It's kind of like you said, in those first 30 days, I was wanting to get our JV games in, making sure that our varsity actually. Fall break landed on a different week this week. Of course, it happened to be when us and Loretta play. Us and Loretta play had a bye week, so we're in the transition of actually changing that game probably. So instead of the 8th or the 9th, it may be like October 1st or something.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of small things like that, trying to making sure that all your ducks are in a row. First 30 days, want to make sure I haven't quite nailed down a good time or a date, but meet with the parents.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the biggest, is making sure everybody that's within the program, parents, players, admin, I've been able to talk with them, but kind of our understanding where our ship needs to go.
Yeah.
And how everybody kind of plays a part in that, where some parts are bigger than others. But, when we talk with our parents, let them kind of know, hey, this is what we need from y'all. And a lot of times, that communication can sometimes make or break a program.
Yeah.
And so that's one of probably the biggest things that's on that checklist of that first 30 days that we're going to try to get done is going to be our parent meeting.
Yeah. Jason, thanks for joining us today on Inside the Huddle, and we're looking forward. That season's going to be here before you know it.
Absolutely.
I know we're in basketball, and we still got baseball in the spring, but that's going to be
Week 6 will be here before we know it. We'll be looking back going, all right, what's our chances? What are we going to get done here? So,
well, thanks for stopping by here on Inside the Huddle, and this is new Summertown football coach Jason Busby here on Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Swap and Shop Center of Lawrenceburg.
This is the X Sports Network.